Last year, we campaigned together on a basic principle. It was that we would turn New Zealand around, but in order to do so, we also needed to teach the basics brilliantly, because for way too long, the basics have been ignored. We have a bureaucracy in Wellington distracted from their core responsibilities and teachers being let down by a very vague curriculum. And the result is our kids weren't being taught the basics, leading to falling educational achievement and a shocking decline relative to previous generations and kids in other countries. And so something had to change, and National, all of us, campaigned on the solutions. And now I'm very proud to say that we are taking action fast. We're removing the distractions, lifting student engagement, and driving down classroom bullying by banning cell phones in school. We're giving every child a grounding in the basics by making sure that they get an hour of reading, an hour of writing, and an hour of maths every single day. We're rewriting the curriculum. We're shifting to a clear expectation of what a child must know in each subject and each year at school. And we're rolling out structured literacy across the whole country so that our young people will learn to read the same way that so many of us here in this room did when we went to school, with something called phonics. Now, the evidence shows that that's the most efficient way and effective way to teach. And here's what that means in practice. Thousands of teachers are being equipped with those skills right now, ensuring that they have the best possible tools to use in their classrooms. And that means that parents can have confidence that their kids will get the best possible opportunity to become great readers when they walk through those school gates each and every day. And under Erica's Stanford, all state schools in New Zealand will be teaching students how to read using structured literacy from term 1 next year. It'll be the same way, the right way, every day, based on data and evidence to get the best possible result. And it makes me very proud that it should make you proud to be a member of the National Party doing that job. But I have to say to you, it has become clear in recent weeks that we must do more. And today we can tell you about some shocking new data on student achievement in maths last year. So looking at kids who are about to go to high school, this data shows us that just 22% of our students are at the expected standard for maths at year 8, which is the old Form 2. 22%. And what that means is that 4 out of 5 of our kids are falling behind on maths. And the results are deeply, deeply concerning, but I suspect not a surprise for many of the parents and grandparents who I know are frustrated and despondent about the progress of their own children in school. But it actually gets worse, because 3 out of 5 of our kids are more than a year behind on maths by the time they start high school. And translated into raw numbers, that means that last year, around 50,000 children getting ready for high school were not at the curriculum benchmark for their age. 50,000 kids. And if we're really honest with ourselves, and we have to be straight up when we talk about results like that, 50,000 more next year, if nothing changes, and another 50,000 the year after that. And just imagine Eden Park completely full each and every year with kids that are not where they need to be on maths. And there's no way to describe those results as anything other than a total system failure. So let me explain to you why these numbers are so shocking. Because up until now, New Zealand has assessed students in broad multi-year bands, where a child could be years behind where they should be, yet they're still considered to be at curriculum. And this is the first time that we've actually assessed our kids showing where they are at, compared to the year that they're actually in. And essentially that means that many parents were being told that their children are doing just fine, when the reality is they could be years behind. And it's quite abhorrent to me that by failing to properly use assessment, the true state of failure has been masked and the interventions that have been required have not actually happened. Now, unpacking the data shows a very sad story, because just 8% of our kids in our lowest decile schools are at curriculum in maths in year 8. And 79% are more than a year behind. And for Māori, just 12% are at curriculum in year 8, and 76% are more than a year behind. So if we are to close the gap and to raise achievement, we must have a knowledge-rich, year-by-year curriculum that is explicitly taught and consistently measured against. And that's exactly what we're doing. And whether it's our curriculum, our teacher training, our resources, or our priorities within the education system, for years we have not been setting our kids up for success. And this is the time to work together to turn these statistics around. And so I'm standing here before you as Prime Minister, and my promise to you today is that it's time for change. The system must change, the results must change, and we will deliver that change. And we have to deliver that change for two very clear reasons. First, because we owe it to the next generation. New Zealand should be a country with abundant opportunity. And I believe that the spirit and the promise of New Zealand is that if you work hard, you can get ahead. And that means everybody. Wherever you grow up, whatever your parents did, and no matter where you're going and whatever your aspiration in life, you deserve a shot. And so for every kid walking into school tomorrow morning, backpack on, ready to take on the world, my message is simple. I cannot change the choices that you make or the home that you were born into, but by God, I will move heaven and earth to give you the best possible start in life with an outstanding education. And that's the promise, that's what we believe in, and that's what's so heartbreaking about these results, that we aren't living up to our potential. And so we have to change, we have to do better, and it is time to act. The second reason we need to change is because it's absolutely critical for our economic future. If we want higher wages and better public services, then we need to deliver an economy that can actually pay for all of that. And the only way that we can achieve that is to build a tight pipeline of homegrown talent across the country, with all the skills and the talent that businesses will need to fuel their growth, innovation and investment. And let's be realistic, we won't be the world leader in agri-science or advanced aviation or artificial intelligence if our kids can't do maths. And designing new expressways in Northland or wind farms in Taranaki will be pretty tough if our kids leave school without mastering the basics. And so allowing those opportunities just to wash away because we can't take hard action to make sure our kids are flourishing would be nothing, frankly, short of negligence. And so I will not allow New Zealand to be left behind while the rest of the world races on. Because if we care about our prosperity, we have to turn these results around. So, in light of the recent results, and thanks to the outstanding work of Erica Stanford, our incredible Minister of Education, yep, she's doing awesome. I can announce this morning that we are making 3 immediate interventions. First, we are accelerating the shift to a new maths curriculum by bringing forward its introduction by a whole year. And what that means for parents is that from term 1 next year, your child will be learning maths based on a new, world-leading, knowledge-rich maths curriculum that brings us in line with countries in the OECD like Singapore and Australia. The expectations for what children must learn each and every year will be clearly laid out because parents deserve to know exactly what their kids will be learning and what they can do to help them. And from next year, they will. And so we will roll out student workbooks, detailed teacher guides, and other top quality resources aligned to the new curriculum, available for every school, available for every teacher and every child in every classroom in New Zealand. Now, second, we will deliver targeted professional development focused on structured maths for primary and intermediate teachers. And we know from a range of studies that too many teachers sadly do not have the confidence to teach maths to our young people. And teachers deserve our support, and we're going to deliver. And that's why we're shifting funding for professional development towards the basics, with $20 million becoming available to train our teachers in maths. And this policy and these tools are going to mean that we will use every single one of those daily hours on maths as effectively as possible. But to build a pipeline of great teachers, we also need to lift the standard for new teachers. And earlier this week, the Teaching Council met urgently to review the entry requirements for teacher training. And I can now confirm that they have agreed that anyone that wants to be a teacher must have NCA Level 2 maths, the old Form 6 maths, as a prerequisite. Now, it's a simple but a very necessary change, and good on the Teaching Council for driving this through with urgency and immediately. Because parents deserve to know that the person responsible for teaching their child maths has the confidence to do so. Now, thirdly and finally, we are taking assessment and support for kids who need it very seriously. And that means alongside our new curriculum, there will be twice yearly assessments for maths in primary schools starting from 2025. We can't know, and parents can't know, if students are sinking or swimming if we aren't checking their progress. And we have to make sure that every child has a record of their achievement as they move through school so that we know what's going right and what might be going wrong. And I think our responsibility is to support them if they need it, whether it's an accelerated program if they're thriving or extra help if they're falling behind. And if our kids are really far behind, we're going to provide targeted support in small groups using structured maths to give our kids the best chance to catch up and succeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to acknowledge our incredible Minister of Education, Erica Stanford. Erica, I want to say to you, thank you so much for all of your drive and your energy to fix this country's education system, and thank you for giving young people a better start in life, and that's what you're all about. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. So, ladies and gentlemen, education matters. Every young person growing up in New Zealand today should only be constrained by their drive, their commitment and their perseverance, not where they came from or where they're going. And if we're really serious about an equality of opportunity, then we need to get this right. All of us, the parents, the teachers, the principals, government, iwi, business and community all have a part to play in lifting our game and delivering the transformational shift from where we've been to where we need to get to. And so whether you're a teacher, a parent or a principal, or you're a kid still working out what your future will hold, I want you to know we have your back. I have your back. The country has your back. So let's go get education back on track. Thank you very much, everybody.
The ability to meet a learner where they're at is really important. Otherwise, what's going to happen is we'll just leave kids behind. And so for New Zealand, that will be lower socioeconomic areas, Māori, Pacifica, disability, all of the areas we know where people already struggle to access good quality education. Those groups will be further marginalised under these changes, and that's a real concern. As parents, we want an education for our children that sets them up as well as possible for a really challenging world. We would definitely reinstate the treaty, so 127 that was removed. We're on board with that. We think that's who we are. The treaty is part of our story and we can't hide from that. So we're in support of reinstating that. I've said it clearly that for the curriculum, maths and English, they're okay. They've been in place since the start of the year. For now, we can live with those there. Maths and English, they're okay. They've been in place since the start of the year. For now, we can live with those there.